days where the sun is brighter than normal. It's one of those days where when you wake up and your breath smells, it really doesn't smell. It's one of those days when your wife tells you to do something that you usually don't want to do. You're like, okay, honey, whatever you want. And that's not just for Met fans. That's for Yankee fans, too. Because on this Thursday afternoon, the New York Mets are in the NLCS, and the Yankees are on the verge of the ALCS.
Evan, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. Hey, Loogie, you're welcome, too.
Thank you, Tiki.
You're welcome. Thank you for saying your thank you, for kicking you out of this place so you could go over and watch history be made.
Yeah, well, I was very distracted because Tiki, and look, you guys may have missed this. I apologize. But yesterday on the program, Tiki got very upset at me. He threatened to punch me. I did not go to HR, by the way, though I could have. And I left because Tiki threatened me to leave. I was being too obnoxious around the Met game. And I got a lot of people asking me, is everything okay between you and Tiki? Like, are you guys ever going to do another show again? Is the relationship over? So I do want to say formally, Tiki, I apologize for being an absolute freak.
I'm glad you made me kick you out of here.
Yes, and I'm glad we were there because last night at Citi Field, 44,000 people had another one of those things. And we've had a few of these over the last week and a half. And by things, I mean a moment you'll never forget. Like if you were in Citi Field last night, when Francisco Lindor came to the plate, and it's the whole story of the game and the season of leaving guys on base and having so many opportunities, that swing by Francisco was frustration coming out. The frustration from that game, and it was a frustrating 1-0 deficit, and even the frustrations that over the 3.5 years, 4 years Francisco's been here, I'm sure he's faced when he's taken criticism from some of us. Some of Met fans. He's not a leader. He stinks. He's this. He's that. He gets off to slow starts. Francisco Lindor had yet another signature moment. And while it wasn't easy, because Edwin Diaz needed to make us all sweat, when that final out was recorded and Kyle Schwarber went down swinging, the euphoria that Met fans felt, it's like a feeling we're not used to because we don't experience it. It was a magical, magical night at Citi Field. And I think what is so cool is that now the Met fans, for the first time in weeks, have a chance to take a deep breath. Because they're in the NLCS. They don't play today. They don't play tomorrow. They don't play Saturday. We could have these stupid parlor talk games about, do you want to play the Dodgers? Do you want to play the Cubs? So for the first time, Tiki, in weeks, I can breathe.
Yeah, you can breathe, but it's hard not to look back at everything that's happened. Oh, I mean, only the most important hit moment of this generation's Met fan 4 times in a week. That's basically what happened.
You're right.
It's basically every single outing. I'm almost going to miss it a little bit. I'm also going to miss the status quo baseball that we watch now because the Mets are miraculous. The Mets are entertaining. And even if you're not a fan, how can you look away?
Yeah.
It's been one of those 2-week periods where it's felt like the end could come, but they just kept staving it off.
Yeah,
and it's just awesome.
Well, what's really incredible is I've been on this planet as a fan understanding what's going on for over 35 years. Figure when I was 7 or 8, I started to understand what was happening. And I could make a list, it's not a long list, of amazing Met moments. 3 different times. 3. You could argue more, but I'll be conservative and say 3. 3 different moments in the last 10 days are right at the top of the list.
Yeah.
Francisco Lindor's home run in Atlanta. That's a lock to be towards the top of the list.
Yeah.
It was the most important regular season home run and most important regular season moment in the history of the franchise. I can say that 10 days later. The Mets are about to be eliminated by the Brewers, and Pete Alonso saves his Mets career. It was over, and he saves the season and his career with one swing. And then you have last night. Because last night was important. You didn't want to go back to Philly. You didn't want to deal with Zach Wheeler. And in a 1-0 game, after 5 innings of utter frustration, Francisco Lindor, who has ended no doubt about who the hell he is. There's no doubt anymore about who Francisco Lindor is. Gives you another ridiculous moment.
Right. You got to add the Diaz, though, moment at the end because of how he set you up to be disappointed.
Oh, my God.
Set you up to blow the game like Sean Mraz predicted. And just came back in utterly amazing fashion.
Yeah, and
with that
that
101-mile-an-hour pitch fastball that Schwarber had zero shot at hitting.
It was a very tough ninth inning to watch because I stood there with Tommy Lugauer. I stood there with Al Cintron. I even stood there with 3 Philadelphia Sports Talk Radio hacks. I stood there watching this game in the 300s, about 3:15, 3:16 at Citi Field.
Don't call Ike a hack.
I don't know who Ike is.
Ike Reese.
Oh, Ike Reese?
Yeah.
Well, did I see him yesterday?
He was there, wasn't he?
I'm sorry. Anyone from Philadelphia is nameless to me. Okay, they're all the same. They're all the same losers.
You notice I didn't include Spike.
I don't know who that is either, by the way. But when Edwin Diaz came out of this game, I said this to Tommy, and I'll say it again. I know why Mendy did it. I understand why Mendy did it. I know that if the Mets are going to get to the ultimate place, Edwin Diaz needs to be good. But David Peterson was in such control, I trusted him more. I looked at it as, hey, if David Peterson starts the 9th inning, I'm not even going to sweat. He'll get those 3 outs, and that's it. We're going to go to the NLCS. I understood why Mendy made that change, but when Edwin Diaz walks JT Realmuto on 5 pitches, and he walks Bryson Stott on 5 pitches, I'm panicking. And I'm thinking to myself, are you freaking kidding me? This can't happen. But credit to Edwin Diaz. Credit to him, because despite the anxiety that Citi Field was having in that moment, he responded. And I got one other thing for Met fans. This is very important, and this is personal. Over a decade ago, Johan Santana threw a no-hitter. And I understand the Morashes of the world and the trolls of the world telling me it's not a no-hitter because Carlos Beltran really got a base hit and the umpires missed the call. I understand that from trolls, and I've accepted that from trolls. I've never accepted that from Met fans because it's stupid. Now, why am I bringing this up? I'm bringing this up because Alec Bohm hit a ball in the 8th inning that was a fair ball down the right field line, and even though they have a first base umpire and a right field umpire, they got it wrong. It was also a non-challengeable play because you can't challenge balls that are determined before the bag. It was clearly a fair ball. The Mets got the benefit of a great call. And guess what? It doesn't matter. The Mets still won. They still beat the Phillies. It's not illegitimate. So I also hope that last night put an end to any discussion about Johan Santana's no-hitter because we got the same exact call in a playoff game, and who cares that the umps got it wrong?
I mean, was anybody thinking about Johan Santana in that moment?
I was.
No chance.
Lukey, is that not the first thing I said to you?
Yeah. Evan immediately turns to me and says that to me, and we're having now a debate as we're getting ready to go to the NLCS.
Right, who cares?
I wanted to throw him off the Shea Bridge. Leave me alone. I'm
blame you.
positive Tommy. Shut up, I wanted to say.
I don't blame you. You're the only one that thought about that. In
Really?
that moment. You had to have been.
You know what? When Johan got that call, here's why it's relevant. When Johan got that call, you knew something magical was happening. When the Mets get a call like that, okay, and it's not all about magic and luck, but that contributes. The Yankees won a World Series in 1996. A lot of it was their talent and their clutchness, but they did get some luck when Jeffrey Mayer pulled a home run ball back. It's a part of the trip, and it's okay. The Mets have had some magic. The ball on the base play from Sunday Night Baseball against the Phillies a few weeks ago, the fair foul call with Alec Bohm, like, it's okay.
Yeah.
The magic is on the Mets side, and I'd rather have the magic on my side than against me. And that was a magical moment. But that's not the only magical moment that happened last night. And you all know who you are. You want to line up on the phones to apologize to Francisco Lindor? You can do that if you want, but that's not the guy who deserves an apology. The guy who deserves an apology needs to be acknowledged by every single one of you. A guy who came over here with high expectations. A guy who came over here making a lot of money. A guy who came over here and underperformed. But a guy who came over here and yet again, last night, saved your asses. Ladies and gentlemen, acknowledge Giancarlo Stanton. Acknowledge that last night was no different than any other October night. Because when Giancarlo Stanton rips an RBI double in the 4th inning to give you a 1-0 lead, cool. When he rips a base hit in the 6th inning and then stuns the world by stealing second base, cool. But when he comes up in the 8th inning of a 2-2 game, in which you know it, Yankee fans, your tuchuses are clenched. You are nervous. You're not feeling good. When that man comes up and takes a 3-1 pitch from, who the hell was he even facing in that 8th inning? I'm trying to remember. Oh, Chris Bubich. Bubich. And Giancarlo hits one high in the air in left field. I hope every single one of you realized you need Big G. You have to have Big G. If the New York Yankees are going to complete their mission and complete their story, it's because since the moment Big G walked through that door and you were booing him on opening day at Yankee Stadium, understand he's built for this. Because all he does every October, while everyone else falters and everyone else struggles, all Big Sexy does is hit. So from top to bottom, Yankee fans, acknowledge your clutchness of Giancarlo Stanton.
Well, he absolutely has to be because Aaron Judge is another 0 for 4 last night. But Giancarlo Stanton is interesting because we had a call yesterday. This is after we kicked you out of the studio. And Sean and I are contemplating this thought. And it was keep Giancarlo Stanton in the starting lineup, but have the Martian ready. And so at some point, because of the liability on the base path, you got to sit Giancarlo Stanton, and you got to put the Martian in there. And Sean was kind of okay with it.
Yeah, because Sean hates Giancarlo.
Right, but at the end of the day, you come to the point where you realize if nobody else is hitting, you got to have as many bats as possible. And last night he proved why you can't take him out of the lineup.
Giancarlo Stanton may have numbers that you look at and say, yeah, they're okay, but it's not the guy we thought we were getting. Mm-hmm. He's not the guy from 2017. Numbers are deceiving. Here are the only numbers that matter. And I'll use these stats again for you if you need to understand it. When he plays, the Yankees win. Mm-hmm. That was the story of this regular season, and that was the story last night, because who else hit last night for the New York Yankees? The answer is nobody. They had 4 base hits last night. He had 3 of them. So Sean Morash, you booed him on opening day at Yankee Stadium in 2018. You even asked that maybe he shouldn't play every day. Acknowledge that you're a win away from the ALCS because all this guy does is perform in October.
I need to vocally declare this. Oob. That's me putting my booze in reverse for Giancarlo Stanton. It's time to oob Giancarlo Stanton, and I apologize. And matter of fact, I apologize to Aaron Boone because as I sat there biting every nub of my fat fingers and fingernails off, I wanted to pinch run for Giancarlo in the 6th inning, and then he stole a freaking base, too. And had they taken him away, he would not have been the guy that delivered the first tying or go-ahead home run for the Yankees in a playoff game in the 8th inning or later since Raul Ibanez in 2012. And now, Giancarlo Stanton, thanks to Katie Sharp with these numbers, 24 RBI or more over any 20-game span in the postseason. Giancarlo, Reggie Jackson, and Lou freaking Gehrig. And the Yankees, who have been so stale and so boring in so many of these postseason losses, look like they were headed towards another one. And it was Big G, and I'm oobing him forever. Build the monument. That's the Yankee moment.
Listen, man, this isn't new. And I think that's the cool part. Giancarlo Stanton never played in the postseason until he was acquired by the New York Yankees during the offseason of 17 and 18. He was the final piece after the Houston Astros cheated you, quote-unquote, out of a championship. Every playoff game he's ever played is for the New York Yankees. He has played 30 postseason games. He has hit 12 home runs. I'll do some math for you. If you put that over a full season, that's 60 home runs. He has been a postseason demon. I know sometimes they haven't won every series. Not always his fault. This guy performs in a big spot. And yesterday, on a day where, Juan Soto drew a couple of walks, cool. Aaron Judge took an 0-4. He's getting close, but he took an 0-4. Gleyber Torres couldn't get on base. Austin Wells had a brutal performance. Jazz Chisholm didn't respond well to everybody booing him. I'll just say it again. No one hit. Like, the Yankees didn't hit last night. He's the guy that saved you. And I think what's kind of cool is I know Yankee fans have been complaining, saying, hey, why is it always about the Mets? The Mets have had a lot of magic. They've had a lot of pizzazz. It's not about favoring one team over another. They've had quite a story. There's a reason why in the open of this program, it's important to talk about the Yankees. Because in my opinion, for the first time in a while, we just saw magic from them. Well, they won a game on a home run in the 8th inning on the road in a game they needed, and it came from a guy who... I mean, let's face it, he's been criticized greatly.
Of course he has been, because he's always been hurt. He's always been unavailable. And when he comes back, he's never the same from before he was hurt. But this year felt different from the beginning with that injury. One, because it didn't feel acute and damaging and out forever. I kind of felt something. I'm going to self-identify this, give myself some rest time, and come back and be viable when it matters most. And he absolutely has been down the stretch of the season. But more importantly, last night, watch it. So I did both. I watched both. And it was hard because obviously the Mets want to draw your attention. And that's the point. The Mets are so entertaining. Every player story is entertaining. Every game is entertaining. The Yankees become like concrete. It's just like it's solid. You know they're good. You know they're going to be there. But you look at it and there's no color. You're right. It's just flat. And Giancarlo Stanton gave a little bit of sharpness to the Yankees last night, but it's still a hard watch because they're not playing to as good as they actually are. And that's frustrating. Whereas teams like the Mets, they're playing so much better than they actually are. Or maybe they're just playing to how they are. But they're entertaining. The Yankees aren't entertaining. It's dramatic, but it's not fun. It's almost so stressful. It gets difficult to I don't know, stomach them sometimes. But the point is they keep winning.
Yeah.
Right? They have the best record in the American League, but you couldn't tell me that they were one of the best teams in the American League.
It doesn't matter. At this point in the season, just advance.
Right,
That's all that
win.
matters.
Of course.
Just win. And the Yankees are a win away from advancing. A lot of Yankees, a lot of Mets. It's all on the table for you to start this program. 888-808-1019. There's a lot to examine from tonight and certainly looking forward to today. Jazz Chisholm getting treated like enemy number one in Kansas City. We'll address it. Francisco Lindor's calmness and coolness. We'll address it. And Jeff Ulbrich making a big change in Jetland. There is a lot to get to. And by the way, we're going to be here for a while. We are not signing off this show until we get to Yankee pregame. And Yankee pregame isn't until 7:30 tonight. So it's an extended Evan and Tiki on this incredible was it Wednesday? No, Thursday.
No, Thursday.
Oh, my God. I don't even know what day it is. On this incredible Thursday afternoon.